Every time you say yes when you really want to say no, you're teaching people something about your value. Not with words, with behavior. And the human brain remembers behavior far longer than it remembers what you actually meant. Today we're breaking down why the word no, used correctly, might be the single most respected sound you can make in any relationship. For most people, saying no doesn't feel like setting a boundary. It feels like risking something. The first driver is the need for acceptance. Humans evolved in small groups where being excluded wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. That wiring never fully went away. So even now, disagreeing with someone, even mildly, can trigger a very old alarm system that whispers, "Don't risk the group turning on you." The second driver is fear of rejection. Saying no carries an implied risk that the other person might respond with disappointment, anger, or distance. And the brain, given the choice between a small discomfort now and a possible relationship loss later, will almost always choose the smaller discomfort, which is just saying yes. The third driver is people-pleasing. Over time, some people learn that their value in a relationship comes from being agreeable, from being the one who never causes friction. It works for a while, but it comes with a hidden cost that shows up much later. Here's a principle from behavioral economics, explained simply. When something is always available, its perceived value goes down. This isn't cynicism, it's a measurable cognitive bias, documented extensively in the work of behavioral economist Dan Ariely. The brain assigns less mental value to things it doesn't have to work for. The same bias applies to people. If your time is always available, if your attention never has any cost, if you say yes automatically no matter what's being asked, the people around you stop consciously calculating your value, not out of malice, but because the brain simply stops doing the math when there's nothing at stake. Saying no reintroduces scarcity, and scarcity is one of the fastest ways the brain relearns that something is worth paying attention to. Boundaries work because of three things happening at once. Clear limits give people accurate information about how to treat you. Without a clear limit, the other person is often just guessing, and guessing tends to drift toward how much can I get away with. Consistency is what makes a limit real. A boundary you enforce sometimes and ignore other times isn't a boundary. It's a suggestion, and suggestions don't get respected the same way rules do. And underneath both of those is self-esteem. Boundaries aren't really about controlling other people's behavior. They're a reflection of how much you believe your own time, energy, and needs actually matter. People tend to treat you the way your boundaries suggest you expect to be treated. It's not because they're selfish. It's because they understand something most people don't. Attention, time, and energy are finite resources, and every yes to one thing is automatically a no to something else. Successful people say no more often because they're protecting three things specifically: their time, which determines what actually gets done; their energy, which determines the quality of what gets done; and their attention, which determines whether they can focus on anything at all. Every unnecessary yes quietly taxes all three. Saying no isn't a rejection of other people. It's a form of resource management. And the people who respect their own resources tend to be respected for it. The problem usually isn't the no itself. It's how it's delivered. Compare these two responses. The first, I don't want to. Blunt, closed, and easy to interpret as dismissive, even if that's not the intent. The second, I appreciate you asking, but I can't commit to that. Same underlying decision. Completely different reception. The difference is that the second version acknowledges the other person before declining. It doesn't over-explain, and it doesn't apologize excessively either, both of which weaken a boundary by turning it into a negotiation. It simply states the limit clearly, respectfully, and without inviting further debate. A well-delivered no doesn't damage a relationship. In most cases, it's the moment the other person quietly recalibrates how much your time is actually worth. Respect doesn't begin when people like you. It begins when people understand your boundaries. Liking is easy to earn and easy to lose. Respect, once it's built on something consistent, tends to last a lot longer, and it usually starts with a single, well-placed no. If you want to understand the hidden psychology behind confidence, respect, and human behavior, subscribe to Mind Decoded. Because every week, we decode the human mind.